What's going on YouTube? This is Comms Engineering. In this video, we're going to be styling the index or the homepage for the mosque. Alright, so now we're back here in the index.html page. What you want to do is go to this icon, press it, and call it homestyle.css. Hit enter. Now we've created a new CSS file, and now we can start styling the website. So down here, hit live, go live. If it doesn't prompt you to the actual homepage, you have to change this to index.html. So here it says it will only open HTML pages in the browser, but as you can see now it says 404, this page can't be found. That's because we're in the images and there's no index.html inside of this. So we have to go all the way back and type in where it says example website and then type in HTML. Now we can see our stuff. Now in this, we're just setting the style for the entire page, also known as presets. Feel free to add these comments just to help you keep track of what you're doing. These are good thing to use in computer science, basic documentation, and it helps keep you on track. First thing we're going to type margin 0, padding 0, box sizing is border box, and let's make the font size 20 pixels. So these are the default settings for everything in our styling of the HTML page. Control save HTML. We'll make the scroll behavior smooth. Makes it right to scroll down and up. This is going to be for the links or our lists. List X decoration, UL, list style. So again, going through these, this allows for smooth scrolling of the mouse. This removes underline from the links. This removes the underline from the links or the elements, such as the index.html, all those, index.html, donation.html, all of those. Okay. Next thing, we're going to style the navigation bar. So we're going to put .nav bar to reference the actual class in HTML. So this So keep in mind that the dot is referencing the class in HTML. So what we type in here, style it, display flex, justify content, space between these different navigation menu items, and we're going to align them into the center, height 10 VH. And background color. Now you have a list of different colors. Let's just do dark orchid. Okay. Now that you've got this CSS file created, we have to go to the HTML page and link it. So type in rel equal style sheet, we'll call it, type equal to text CSS. This is a basic CSS file in text, and type in the CSS file. If you're seeing your website and it's the exact same thing, you can go back to your Visual Studio Code and control or command. So I did realize that I had my home style.css, the CSS file inside of the images. That's not what you're supposed to do. You can either create a new one with the exact same name and paste everything here, and it says that it already exists because I created a new one. Yours probably you only have one, so I'll just hit replace. Once you hit command save, you can go to your website, and now you can see that the new colors and the new layout has been added. All right, so go back and let's continue. The next step would be for the logo, where it says your mosque name, or on the very top. We call this .logo. So it's a logo class, right? Yes, right here. Adding left, do 10 pixels. This is the styling for the logo. Okay. This one too, .logo hyphen text, do margin left, auto, font size is 1.5 EM. So the EM means that it's multiplying the 20 pixels up here by, this is the default size for the font. It's multiplying that by 1.5, so it's going to be a little bigger than the default text font. Next, under that, we're going to style the menu bar. So .menu bar, I believe that's what we're calling it, yes, width 50%, margin left, do a little smaller than the default, 0.5 EM, and control save, command save, and let's see how it's looking so far. Okay, so what I've done is I've moved these 3 buttons to the middle so we can space them out a bit more. This is just the starter position right now. The name is a little bit bigger. We're going to move that a little bit more to the right. Let's go back. Continue. Now we're going to be doing the navigation list. Now we're going to actually be working with these buttons and styling them and fixing them. All right, so now we do .list, which is right under the menu bar, margin left -10 pixels. The reason I'm using -10 is to move it to the left rather than the right. Display flex. This display function is used to display a bunch of content, and it's supposed to make it so where that content can align itself within other borders or other boxes. It's it's good to use, and we want space between these lists or buttons. My bad. I'm gonna style these buttons, list items, and then A, margin right, 80 pixels. Let's make the color, make it white, but you don't really have to. Pick a different one, but white seems to work. Just pick a color that seems to work best with this. So see now how it's all spaced out. This looks pretty good for now. I could probably see black working, but for this color, I'm gonna choose white. Font family. This is the styling of the text. Ooh. Sans serif looks a little different. It's not Times New Roman. No, it's not Times New Roman. It's something else. Font size. Let's make it a little smaller. 7 EM. We're gonna make a slight animation of this. So let's check it out now. It's a little smaller. You can have it bigger. You could probably do just 1 EM or 1.2 EM or 0.9. Doesn't matter. I'll just stick with this for now. Next step is a transition. And what this is, it's used for an animation, kind of like a little slide function later on. I think we're going to use JavaScript for it. Refresh. No, it doesn't do anything. Now, what we're going to do is for this, when we go to hover the cursor above it, it's going to turn into a different color. So when we do this, it turns to a color. List items, A, colon, hover. Okay, so that's what we're going to call it. And all we have to do is just assign this a color. Let's do aqua. So now you can see it's blue now. Okay, so now we're going to be styling for the body, H1 text, and the image. So in body, comma H1, comma image, margin is going to be 0. Padding is going to be 0. This is the default setting. Next one is going to be styling the section 1, as we've called it here. Let's see if that's correct. Section this, yeah, so this one. So we can type dot section 1. Position relative, meaning it adapts to its relative position. Background, let's do light gray. Overflow, if we have any overflowing content, then let's make that visible so we can see and debug it later on. Background repeat is going to be no repeat. We don't want any background to be repeating. Justify content, can make that center. Align items, also center. Height 107, do 100 VH. Width 100%. Visibility, top, left, those aren't really important. Opacity. Okay, control save, go back. So we've spaced it out a bit. Now the prayer times are on the bottom and the photos are going to be here. Now let's go back. And we still have green files. That means we haven't committed any changes to the GitHub page. So we're going to do that now. So what we're going to do is go to the terminal. Let's stop the live, go to the terminal and type in git add period. If it's showing you this error where it says fatal, not a Git repository or any of the parental directories, type in git init. Because now it says initialize empty Git repository in the GitHub. So now we can actually start adding in the files. Git add period. Once you've typed in git init, you're probably going to have a folder that is the same name as your example website. So for example, if I go to the file example website, I'm going to have another folder here that says example website, which is fine. And all the stuff is in there. Now, when you're here, just type in cd example website again, and then try git add period to add all of the modified files. After that, what you want to do is say git status, and it will show you all of this right here in green are all new files that need to be pushed through your GitHub account. Now, you do git commit. Now, I said earlier that I was going to explain what commit is. Commit is basically a message or a note that you add. It's a comment on what you did. So you say git commit -m quotation marks. We're going to say that this is home page added and then hit enter. Okay, it says 10 files change, 150 insertions, which are the numbers of edits that we did for all of this. Now we can type in git push origin main. So here it says authentication failed for the website. Now what we want to do now is we want it to make GitHub ask us for the password from Visual Studio Code. So we type in we type in the command again, but we force it this time with F, as I did here. Push F, which is force origin main. Now it asks you wants you to sign in using GitHub. Hit allow, open link. And now I think it automatically signed me in, but if it asks you to sign in, just type in your password and your username and you should be good. Now that's done, we can close out of the GitHub, close out of the VS Code, and we can go to GitHub, go to your repository, and go to here to commits. And now we can see that the comment that we added, or the commit, is right here. We can click on it and see what we added. All of this. As you can see, we added all of these photos and we added all of this. Everything green is new. And so yeah, these are all the new commits are going to be. And all of these can be pulled from GitHub back into Visual Studio Code. And the way we do that is we go to the terminal and say git pull. That's it. We just enter. Right now there's nothing new, so there's nothing to pull from GitHub. Okay, so now that you know how to commit the new files into your GitHub account, we can continue the CSS file for the section 1. The last line that we're going to add is animation, kind of fade in. We call it fade in from middle. You don't have to do the capital just to see the words easier. Do 1.5 seconds around that range. Ease out forward. This is only going to be one directional, so it's kind of like slowing down at the end, whereas ease out by itself is going to be fast on both sides and slow in the middle. Ease out forwards is going to be fast and then slow at the end. That's what I'm kind of aiming for right here. You can also just leave it like this. It doesn't matter. Next, dot slideshow container. Spell this correctly this time. There we go. Max width is going to be 1500 pixels, around that range. It could be 1400, 1300, doesn't matter. Just around 1000 pixels. Position relative and margin auto for it to readjust by itself. Now we're going to style the pictures for your mosque. Okay, so now we pull in every single one of these right here. We don't have to say pick one slide, pick two slide. We can just say pick one, pick two, pick three, pick four, all the way to pick five. So dot pick one, dot pick two, all the way to dot pick five. Type display content for it to show, and let's do a separate animation, not the one that I showed above, but a different one. Remember that colon, fade. Let's do 2 seconds for each, ease, and remember to go live if you haven't done already. So as of right now, the images are not being displayed. The prayer images here though, I realized that the opacity is equal to 0 is making everything invisible, so we can remove that. Hit save, go back to the website, and now you can see all of the photos are there, but they're not organized. And the text up here is also here, and the text over here is also visible, but now we need to organize them. So the top 0, left 0 is just to make the excess top and bottom of the page invisible. We don't need to see that. So next step is to set the slideshow container for the images, or the way we do that. So we're gonna make the max width 1500 pixels or around there. You can do like 1200, 1000 pixels, just around the 1000 range, preferably more than 1200, but it really depends on your computer's resolution or display, like how big the screen is. Usually 1500 works from what I've experimented with. Position relative and margin auto. Let us do it. Pick one. So this is to set up the placeholder for the mosque images. Now we're going to style the mosque images. For this, we want to include every single one of these images that you have taken of your mosque. I've taken some random pics online, as you know, but I'm going to need these names. Pick one, pick two, pick three, all the way to pick five. I don't really need to include this slide. This is enough because I can only use the first one because this all says slide in it. So we can include them in the same line. Dot pick one, comma, dot pick two, all the way to dot pick five. We're going to still need to display the contents, and we're going to make an animation, fade 2 seconds, ease. So this is normal ease, easing in and easing out. So this is a normal ease, back. Now we need to implement some more stuff. Dot section one image. Now we're sizing it. Width, let's do 100%, and height 90 VH. Is what I found to be pretty decent. As you can see, now it's all centered. Now it's more centered, as you can see. We'll fix that later. It's not done yet. So now we're gonna define the animation names, because now they're only white. They have to have a color for them to, mean something. In Visual Studio Code, everything is colorized. Everything that's colored typically means that it's defined or it has some value to it. So the way we do this is, first we're gonna start off with fade in from middle. Now this is simply an animation to fade content in from the middle of a certain point. So do at keyframes, same name, fade in from middle. 0% is our starting point, is also known as the starting point. Our opacity, remember this is the invisibility of it. We don't want to see it yet until the end. It's going to be 0. And we're going to have something under it called transform, translate, capital Y, parentheses, 10%. So this is starting from the middle of the page and ending at the top of the page. Show you how that looks. So opacity has to be, what do you think the opacity has to be if starting is 0 and we want to see it fully, not halfway, not a quarter of, we want to see it fully? What would the opacity be? You guessed 1, you're correct. Now we added the transform. Since we did the Y, which is vertical, what do we need to do next? Hinting with my mouse, you guessed X, that's correct. And we don't want any movement. I'm going to keep it there. So let's see how that looks. Make sure the spelling is correct because I had 3 Ds instead of 2. And now when you refresh the page, the content slides up in a very cool and smooth way. All right, now we're going to style these texts right here to make them a bit bigger. We're going to put the Arabic on the right. It makes sense because we read Arabic from right to left and English is from left to right. So we're going to make it a little bit bigger, shift this to the right and keep this on the left. And the way we do that, we'll start off with H1. Assalamu alaikum. So we do .welcome H1. We're going to make an animation for this. However, you don't have to, but I encourage you to do these because they are pretty fun to make. Now, before we get started on this, always use documentation to know what you're doing. So we're styling the welcome texts, Arabic and English. Text move left. We're moving this is going to be for the Arabic Assalamu alaikum text. So it's going to move and slow down slowly. So what do we need here? We're just going to use an ease in out. Text align, not center, but right. Font family. I always go for the Verdana. Font size is going to be big. So we're going to do 3EM. Now, when you see these colors pop up, it automatically assumes that you're going to pick one of these. But if you look to the right, there are these codes, and these are what we call color codes. So if you want, an easy way to do this is just typing out random numbers. As you can see, a little block of color pops up and I get like this kind of like red or a red black. However, if you move this little circle around, you can get more of what you really want. So this is fine right here. Now to explain this RGB, RGB means red, green, blue. These are the three colors that are used in computers to output your screen, because altogether these are white. They make a white color. And if altered, if red is lighter, green is darker, blue, you get a different color. Now these, it's all going to be 6-digit codes. So if we type in the same numbers as this, 39, 25, 29, as you can see, we get the same color. So we can leave it as that or the RGB parentheses with the commas, doesn't really matter. The next thing is we're just going to margin the bottom from it so it doesn't touch the pictures, so the text doesn't interfere with the pictures. And we're just going to do 10 pixels. So Control Save or Command Save, and let's go back to the website. And as you can see, it's a little bigger now. This little extra white space is from this prayer image. We'll fix that later. And we're going to add the animation to it. So the idea is we're going to have this whole text moving slowly and then stop from the right. And we're going to do the same thing with this, slowly from the left and then stop. Remember, what's the term for animation that we use? Yes, keyframes. You remembered correctly and you have good memory. Congratulations. Move left. So we're going to start off with 0%, opacity, 0, transform, what again? Translate. If we're going horizontally, what letter do we use? Is it X or Y? It's X, 100%. And then we'll finish it off, opacity 1, and translate, transform. Now, if we don't want it moving, what do we type in this little parentheses? Do we type in a number? Yes, but what do we type? If we don't want it moving, so if we want it completely stopped, we want 0. All right, Control Save that. Let's go and refresh the page. So as you can see, it was a little fast that time. We're going to slow it down. Let's say 50%. However, if you do like it as 100%, you can definitely keep that. So let's try it again. It's a little bit better. So for now, we're going to continue on with the welcome H2 for the English. We're just going to copy everything from here and put it in here to save time and work. But we're going to call this right. And we can also just copy this and paste it right under it and call it right. Text move right. Let's see how that looks. Okay. So this is not on the left side, and it's a little bit bigger than the Arabic text. So let's fix that real quick. Make it smaller. 2EM sounds good. Let's go back and check it. Okay, that's pretty good. We can even do 1.5, and we want to text and line this to the left. Perfect. Although this is a cool animation, we want to have this coming in from the right, but this coming in from the left, not both coming in from the right. So as you can see, what I just said is that they're both coming in, boom, from the right. We want them to come in at different directions, but at the same speed. So what we can do is go here. So we're translating X horizontally, but this is a positive number, plus. So that's translate X plus to the left. We can just switch this sign and have it coming from the left now. However, if this is too much at once, we can do one at a time by adding what's called a delay. So a delay is something that we can add here. And all it is called animation delay. And you can put how many seconds you want. Do 2 seconds. Now we can watch it back. Okay. So as you saw there, it stayed. The Arabic text came and did its job. But this is staying and then disappearing and then coming. So what we can do is use the opacity tool. So here's a question for y'all. What can we do here to fix that? What's something that I've used to make stuff invisible? Guess the opacity, that's correct. And what do we want it? Which number? 1 or 0? 0. Now, if we refresh it, there we go. Now it does its job. However, it disappears after that. Why? Well, we're back here at the H2 text, and right after the ease in and out, we have to add the forwards. I forgot about that, to make it a single motion, not a single motion and then reset. Because if we're just doing ease in and out, it's going to reset to that opacity 0. So we're going to do forwards as a complete stopping motion. Now when we refresh, we'll have it set. Boom. There we go. What we're going to be doing in the next video is setting up the slideshow for the images and continuing on with the dots and the donate page and the contact us page. See you then.